Hey family, are you an emotional eater? Well, not only am I an emotional eater, I'm an emotional cooker. You know some of the stuff that's gone on in the past 30 days. Oof. Well, there's more I hadn't told you about, and I don't think I'm going to, but I had to cook something so it doesn't go bad, because I already had to throw out some kingfish, which is my favorite fish. But I didn't throw this out. And I had all kinds of scenarios I was going to do on this episode. I'm just going to show you what I cooked. It was nice. Let's go. Hi, my name is T. I am not a chef. Actually, I'm a truck driver. And I don't drive food trucks, I drive a semi. What I'm about to do is show you how to do what I do on my truck. Welcome to your favorite new food show, Big Taste in a Small Space with me, T. So first I took some balsamic vinegar and reduced it by half. Then I took some garlic oil, Worcestershire, and some soy sauce, put that in the reduced balsamic vinegar, and put a little salt in this water back here. I'm going to put a lobster tail, and I'm going to put some yam in there. Not at the same time, different times, just so they'll come out right. Stir it up, don't put your salt in the water till your pot is hot. You know the rules. Stir up your mixture there. That's going to be a gravy for your steak that we're going to make. I know I didn't tell you what we're making, but you'll see. So, I'm going to get I got a Filet Mignon and a lobster tail. And if you ever wonder how these guys get these lobster tails to stay straight after they cook them, well, this is the trick. They stick a skewer in the middle of it before they put it in the water. That's going to keep it from bending up. Who knew? I watch a lot of cooking shows. I knew. So I put the lobster tail into the water, the salty water, for about 3 to 5 minutes. And I got this yam that I was talking about. Cut it up a little bit. Clean it up some. Get all the dark edges, the outer coating. And you see yam turns dark, faster than an apple or avocado. When you cut it, it starts going really quick. So when you cut it up, you really want it to be going in the water right away. So I cut up the yams, cut it into cubes, took my lobster tail out the water, and of course, because I'm not doing right, I put my yam in the water. Didn't show you, but it's in there. And let my lobster cool off just a little bit. Stir up my pot with my yams in there. Get them in the salty lobster water. Mix them up real good. So now, make sure I don't burn my sauce. I'm going to take that off the heat in a second or two because it's nicely reduced. It's kind of syrupy like at this point, which is just what I want. So now I'm going to take this lobster and I'm going to crack the shell in half. It's easy to do. Lobster's been out the water for a few minutes, so it's not too hot to handle. And of course, why should this go well for me? So normally I can just crack this shell in half, take it out the shell with my hand. But I had to get my kitchen shears and cut it in half today. When things go wrong, well, they just keep on going. And normally I can just, if you take this lobster out the hot water and drop it in some cold water right away, it'll take the meat off the shell very easily. But since I didn't do that, I'm here struggling using spoons. I'm using fingers. If my feet wasn't so big, I might use my toes too. But whatever. I'm getting it out. Trying not to beat up the meat too badly. And it's coming out. It's coming out. So, once I get it off the sides of the walls, stir up my stuff. Make sure it don't burn. Pull the skewer out. Pull the meat ever so gently out of the shell. Leave the tail part just in there a little bit. And that little piece I just pulled out, that's that vein that shrimps and lobsters have. And sometimes it's full of poop. Sometimes it's full of sand. You just don't want to eat it. So if you find it, take it out. Now, get a little butter. And I'm going to put a little bit of Old Bay in the butter. Butter's been softened, been out the refrigerator for a while. Put a little salt in the butter. Get a little black pepper in the butter. And I'm going to drizzle just a little bit of this garlic oil in the butter. Because I ain't feel like being bothered with cutting up some garlic right now. Somebody save me. And then you mix up your butter, your Old Bay, your salt, pepper. Butter could have been a little softer, but hey, it is what it is today, people. Work with me. Since the food is fighting against me, I'm hoping you'll work with me. It's not bad. So I mix that up real good, mash it up as much as I can. And then I get one of those little brushes and brush it on top of the meat. Well, if I get this thing to stay up, brush it on top of the meat of the lobster. Yep. All over. I mean, you don't have to do the shell. Who wants a greasy shell? You're not going to eat the shell. I mean, you might suck on it, some people, sometimes. Your mileage may vary. But I'm going to take this lobster and I'm going to put it on the side because I got some other stuff to do. Take this, take these yams off the heat. Get my Filet Mignon. I, use some paper towel to dry it off some. Then after it's nice and dry, I'm going to drizzle a little olive oil on it. Wet it up some. And you just want to smear that all over, all sides. You're just really doing that so the seasoning will stick to it. And sometimes you use a lot of different seasoning. Today, certain meat, you can just use salt and pepper. And you know what? I think that's just what I'm doing today. A little bit of salt, little bit of pepper, flip it over, rinse and repeat. Salt, pepper, then you just make sure that gets on every inch of that steak. Sometimes you do some paprika, you do some garlic, you do whatever you want to do. I ain't doing much today. I ain't on strike, but I ain't doing much. Get your cast iron hot, and once it's hot, you should only drizzle a little bit of olive oil in there, but I put a lot more than a little. And you start off on the sides of the meat. Yep, you just want to try to get a little sear. I put too much olive oil in there to get anybody sear, but I'm still going to cook it on those sides, top, bottom, all the sides, before we lay it down on the fleshy part of the meat. Just want to make sure everything gets cooked properly. I didn't have so much oil, it would sizzle very nicely. Your heat's only about medium high, not too high, you'll mess up your steak. The steak's too expensive to be messing up, people. So not too high. If you got temperature on there, you put about 325, 350. Then you lay it down on this fleshy part for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, you flip it over. You put some butter in the pan. I put some thyme in the pan. And then you baste it. Each side of this steak is going to get 5 minutes. And you baste it. And you baste it, and you baste it, and you baste it. That's going to give it a little more flavor, especially since you put the thyme in the butter and the oil. And you baste it. Come on, baste it some more. I know you're going to do it. You're going to do it. There you go. So at this point, I'm going to take it out this pan and put it next to my lobster. That's going in the preheated oven at 425 for 5 minutes. I'm going to use some of this drippings of the meat and the oil in my little sauce and stir that up a little bit. And the heat on this is off. And while that's just getting warm from the residual heat, I'm going to take my yams out the pot. I'm going to put just a little pad of butter on top of my yams. And I'm going to get my potato masher. He's a masher. And I'm going to mash that up as best I can. I didn't use milk, don't have any. Didn't use cream, don't have any. So I'm just going to use some butter. And I'm going to use another piece of butter. Little salt. Didn't put any pepper, just some salt. And I put some of this black truffle oil, just a little bit, because that stuff is strong. But it's going to give you a nice, luxurious, umami flavor. You're welcome. Yes, it will be that good. And then 5 minutes, steak is out the oven. Put them on top of the mash. Your lobster's cooked all the way. I cut it so you can see the inside. And there you have it. Filet mignon on top of mashed yams and a lobster tail. Only thing I wish that lobster tail was a little bit bigger.